sports complexes significantly expanded public access to sports and physical activity across the country. At the same time, development began on several international standard facilities, including an Olympic-sized swimming pool, an international tennis complex, a skate arena, and a dedicated surfing arena, marking a major leap in sports infrastructure. The Maldives also strengthened its global sporting presence by hosting major international events such as the Carrom World Cup, the Kava Volleyball Tournament, ITF and ATF J30 tennis tournaments, along with international badminton and basketball competitions. A major turning point came with the revival of the Football Association of Maldives. Following years of corruption and instability, reforms led to the reintroduction of the domestic league and the revitalization of women's football. On the international stage, Maldivian football returned to winning ways, securing its first international trophy since 2018 with victory over Sri Lanka in the South Asian Super Cup. Significant progress was also seen in other sports. The Badminton Association of Maldives was reinstated, enabling athletes to return to international competition. Maldivian athletes won medals at the Bodybuilding World Championships, achieved junior-level success in tennis, and delivered historic performances at the Carrom World Cup, where the women's team finished as runner-ups. Further achievements followed in table tennis, badminton, shooting sports, sailing, and inline skating, with Maldivian athletes earning medals and podium finishes across multiple international competitions. Perhaps the most impactful milestone of the year was the reform of the Sports Act. Long-debated amendments were finalized, safeguarding athlete rights and reinstating the Aruta program to ensure salary parity between athletes and officials. International cooperation was also expanded, with new sports development agreements signed with Malaysia and China's Fujian province. As 2025 came to a close, athlete welfare saw further progress. From January, national team athletes began receiving insurance coverage alongside salary increases that have eased financial pressure and enabled greater international exposure. With major projects advancing and reforms taking root, 2026 stands as a year of continuity, opportunity, and renewed ambition for Maldivian sports. In a frank assessment of historical economic policy, the Minister of Economic Development and Trade, Mohammad Saeed, declares that no previous administration has taken effective measures to resolve the chronic problems plaguing small and medium enterprises or SMEs. The minister's comments were made during the debut episode of the Spokesperson podcast produced by the President's office. Minister Saeed detailed the current government's response following a meeting between President Dr. Mohamed Muiz and SME business community last December. Acknowledging the long-standing neglect, Minister Saeed confessed that even during his own prior tenure as Trade Minister, SMEs were not given such significant priority. In a decisive move, the President's office has now issued direct instructions to all relevant government agencies to address the specific complaints raised by the business community. Key interventions already underway include operational improvements at Velana International Airport or VIA and the Male Commercial Harbor. These involve extending service hours and, crucially, increasing the demurrage-free period for goods from 3 days to 5, a change aimed directly at reducing storage costs and logistic delays for importers. Additionally, the Ministry of Finance and Planning and the Maldives Inland Revenue Authority, or MIRA, are collaborating to resolve issues related to outstanding payments owed to companies. Addressing critics who label these measures as fiscally burdensome, Minister Saeed warned that blocking such policies would only inflict further suffering on small businesses. He emphasized that creating a favorable operating environment is essential for stimulating broader economic activity, a core focus of President Muiz's agenda. The minister concluded by proclaiming that 2026 and 2027 will be landmark years for SMEs, marked by significant steps to foster a better business climate and expand government support initiatives. According to the Ministry of Tourism and Environment, the Maldives sees a significant expansion in tourism infrastructure in 2025, with more than 4,200 new tourism beds added, bringing the total to 67,475 by year-end, up from 63,248 in 2024. The resort sector led growth, adding 2,150 beds following the opening of 6 new luxury properties, including Mandarin Oriental Maldives, Bulgari Resort Maldives, Zamani Island, Corinthia Maldives, and Nala Maldives. The nation now hosts 178 operating resorts, offering 44,697 beds. Guest houses also contributed strongly, with 44 new establishments providing an additional 1,203 beds, raising their total of 16,824. Safari vessels and hotels accounted for another 2,598 beds. This infrastructure boom supported record-breaking tourism performance, with over 2.24 million visitors, 200,000 more than in 2024, generating a historic $5.4 billion in tourist spending, a 15.8% increase from the previous year. The ministry hails 2025 as a landmark year, positioning the Maldives for continued growth in 2026 and beyond. Data shows that over 2.24 million tourists visited Maldives in 2024, marking the highest number of annual tourist arrivals in the nation so far. According to data from the Ministry of Tourism and Environment, or MOTE, 2,246,516 tourists arrived in Maldives in 2025, a 9.8% increase from 2024, when 2,046,615 tourists visited. In December alone, 224,455 travelers had visited the country, the greatest figure in a month to date. The number of tourist arrivals for each month of 2025 are as follows: January with 214,863, February with 214,091, March with 203,468, April 198,322, May 135,614, June 141,772, July 186,738, August 192,058, September 149,563, October 190,445, November 195,127, and December 224,455. The greatest number of travelers visited Maldives from the following countries are China 329,428, Russia 278,760, and the United Kingdom with 202,171. 2025 marked a successful year for tourism, with travelers spending over $5.4 billion in the Maldives, the largest figure to date. This represents a 15.8% increase compared to 2024. The Maldives Transport and Contracting Company, or MTCC, demonstrates significant progress in the nation's infrastructure development, announcing the successful management of 373 projects during the third quarter of last year. As a leading provider of vital development work across the country, the company's activities spanned a diverse portfolio. These achievements included major land reclamation and coastal protection initiatives, port and airport development, road construction, and the building of community facilities such as football stadiums, alongside specialized survey and consultancy works. Concurrently, MTCC maintained a strong pipeline for future growth, commencing work on 44 new projects and being awarded an additional 68 during the same period. The quarter also saw the completion of 6 key projects, including shore protection work in Ihavandu, Horafushi, and Diggaru, the construction of an outdoor gym in Felidu, the first phase of the Tilafushi Logistics Terminal, and architectural consultancy for the new Male City Council office building. This high volume of project activity translated into solid financial performance. MTCC reported reported revenue of $32.5 million for the quarter, with an operating profit of $1.9 million and a total profit of $869,001. These results underscore MTCC's pivotal role in driving both the physical and economic infrastructure of the Maldives. Significant infrastructure upgrades along a key route in Malé City are currently progressing, with Maldives Transport and Contracting Company, or MTCC, reporting the completion of 38 meters of sheet piling work along the local market area. MTCC, which is undertaking development of a critical 250-meter stretch from the local market area to the North Harbor, has also announced the completion power cables installation alongside the road. The practical work on the road development project commenced on the 9th of December. MTCC also said that the practical works on the development of a sea channel has also begun, and that by the end of this week, tie rods and anchor blocks will be installed. It said 270 meters of water supply lines have also been installed. According to MTCC, the development aims to improve pedestrian access, ease traffic congestion, address persistent flooding caused by the drainage problems, and enhance accessibility for residents, cargo vehicles, and vessels. The construction covers a 250-meter section from the local market area to the North Harbor, forming part of a wider 1,088-meter stretch running from the Henveru Ferry Terminal to the North Harbor. Phase 1, covering 140 meters, has been completed, while work on Phase 2 is ongoing. MTCC said it expects the second phase to be completed and the road open to the public ahead of Ramlan. Water and sewerage systems for all towers of the 4,000 flats constructed by Fahidiri Ulong Corporation, or FTC, in Holomale Phase 2 have now been completed. On a post on X, Maldives Water and Sewerage Company, or MWSC, has stated that the installation, testing, and commissioning of water and sewerage systems across all towers of Aman Dodi and Aman Udares, the 4,000-unit social housing project, has now been completed. In addition to this, water boosting systems have also been established at these flats. Speaking to PSM News in December, FTC's Managing Director Hamdan Shakil said that the flats have reached completion apart from the roadworks by MWSC. Therefore, the installation of these systems marks the final step in the development of these flats. FTC is currently handing over the keys to the recipients of these flats to be completed by the end of January. The Election Commission of Maldives, or ECM, initiates a critical training program to prepare thousands of officials for the upcoming Local Council and Women's Development Committee elections scheduled for the 4th of April.
In the initial phase, ECM has launched a training of trainers program to equip over 100 master trainers who will then be responsible for instructing around 7,000 polling station officials across the Maldives and abroad. The training program for the trainers is being held from the 3rd to the 9th of January. Following its completion, the large-scale training for the 7,000-strong electoral workforce is set to commence on 11th January, with sessions in the Malé area starting on 15th January. Speaking at the launch ceremony, ECM Chairman Mohamed Zahid emphasized that the training is a fundamental part of the ECM's preparations to uphold the electoral process as mandated by law. He assured that ECM would conduct the elections in strict accordance with existing procedures. He clarified that while legal amendments might alter certain procedural details, the core administrative functions of the polling stations would remain unchanged. The intensive one-week training program is designed to provide officials with vital information on their duties. This includes instructing voters, managing the polling process efficiently, and ensuring all procedures are followed correctly on election day. The ECM has also noted that an additional 100 administrative staff are required to support the extensive election operation.
The Maldives Monetary Authority, or MMA, states that the Maldives official reserve levels are projected to improve further to $903.7 million by the end of this year.
According to MMA's quarterly economic bulletin, official reserves were projected to be at $848.6 million by the end of 2025. This represents a significant surge in the official reserves, which stood at $673.9 million by the end of 2024. MMA attributes the surge in the official reserves to increased foreign currency revenue collection from the Maldives Inland Revenue Authority, MIRA, and significant foreign currency inflows to the MMA due to the implementation of foreign exchange market reforms under the Foreign Currency Act. MMA's 2026 projections assume that the $500 million Sukuk repayment due in April 2026 will be refinanced. While the growth forecasts for the Maldivian economy generated for 2025 earlier in the year ranged from 4.5% to 5.6%, real gross domestic product (GDP) is now projected to grow by 5.4% in 2025, according to revised growth forecasts prepared jointly by the MMA and the Ministry of Finance and Planning. Real GDP growth is projected to be in the range between 4.8% to 5.3% in 2026, driven by the expected improvements in tourism, transportation and communication, and the wholesale and retail trade sectors. MMA cautioned that the tourism-dependent economy of the Maldives could be hindered by global developments. The high degree of uncertainty around U.S. trade policy could dampen consumption and investment. The government has been taking measures to strengthen the reserves, including utilizing 60% of U.S. dollars received by banks to strengthen reserves under the new foreign exchange law.
The national airline Maldivian reveals plans to launch direct flights between the Maldives and Bangladesh from the 12th of March.
According to the airline, the Bangladesh route will be commenced in line with the demand for this route from the large share of Bangladeshi expatriate workforce residing in the Maldives, and it aims to strengthen the connectivity between the two nations. The service will operate 2 weekly flights on Sundays and Thursdays from 12 March 2026. The flights are scheduled for landing in Dhaka early morning, aimed at facilitating a seamless journey for passengers boarding connecting flights to other destinations. According to the airline, the resumption of the service coincides with the conclusion of Ramadan and the Eid al-Fitr holidays, offering significant convenience for Maldivians traveling abroad for the holidays, as well as for Bangladeshi nationals returning to their home country. Round-trip fares for these flights start from $399. Passengers will be entitled to a 30-kilogram checked baggage allowance and complimentary on-board meals. The airline has confirmed that bookings for these scheduled flights are now officially open. Passengers can make their bookings through Maldivian's official website, mobile application, or by contacting the call center at 1671. Dhaka is a highly favored destination among Maldivians for business, short-term visits, and as a transit hub for regional travel. To mark the resumption of flights to this destination, Maldivian has announced a music festival titled Dhaka We Heard You, scheduled for next Friday. According to the airline, this event is specifically curated for the Bangladeshi community residing in the Maldives, symbolizing the strong cultural ties between the two nations. Currently, Maldivian's fleet consists of 26 aircraft, including one wide-body Airbus A330, one narrow-body Airbus A320, 5 ATR aircraft, 8-8 aircraft, and 11-6 twin.
Insights into business. When Zohran Mamdani first entered the New York mayoral race, the city's real estate industry was terrified.
According to Catherine Wild, President and CEO of Partnership for New York City, who told Reuters Mamdani was unknown and therefore a frightening prospect.
I don't think there's going to be as much impact as everyone's scared about. I mean, they're always concerned about this kind of worst case scenario that never plays out, right? He's going to run up against obstacles. He's going to, achieve a lot because I think he has a lot of energy and has the right idea and can kind of bridge the gap between a lot of different parties. But everyone, he'll run up against people that have their own ideas, and I think they'll turn out somewhere in the middle, and it's going to be great.
But over time, said Wild, Mamdani met with real estate leaders and listened. Others are sounding notes of cautious optimism. New York's mayor has no direct oversight over Wall Street, but the job can play into perceptions of whether the city is business-friendly. Mamdani focused his campaign on affordability. His agenda includes a rent freeze for rent-stabilized apartments, free bus services, universal childcare, and city-run grocery stores. And according to Ian Slater, a co-founder of Trove Partners, the agenda has hardly dampened enthusiasm in the private real estate sector, and he said there are no recent signs of the opposite. But some cannot shake off their fears over the newly elected mayor.
An update on international affairs. Venezuela will resist the presence of foreign troops, Defense Minister Vladimir Padrino says in a video broadcast on government television VTV, as U.S. President Donald Trump said Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro had been captured and was being removed from the country.
A U.S. attack on the country in the early morning struck civilian areas, Padrino said, and Venezuela is compiling information about dead and injured people. The Venezuelan government does not know the whereabouts of Maduro or his wife, Cilia Flores. Vice President Delcy Rodriguez in an audio also played on state TV and demanded proof of life. Venezuelan Interior Minister Diosdado Cabello urged citizens to remain calm, emphasizing that the country's population was organized and ready after U.S. airstrikes targeted the South American nation overnight. Trump said the operation was carried out in conjunction with U.S. law enforcement and promised more details at a press conference at his Mar-a-Lago resort in Florida. Maduro was captured by elite Special Forces troops, a U.S. official tells. Washington has not made such a direct intervention in Latin America since the invasion of Panama in 1989 to depose military leader Manuel Noriega over similar allegations.
Taking a look at the world of sports, the FIFA World Cup trophy lands in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, at the start of a tour that will see the iconic trophy visit 30 FIFA member associations across 75 stops over 150 tour days.
The 2026 tour started in the country which will host the World Cup in 2034 before it traveled to all three host nations for this year's tournament: the United States, Canada, and Mexico. The trophy tour will also include the host nations for the 2030 tournament: Morocco, Portugal, and Spain. Italian World Cup winner Alessandro Del Piero carried the trophy on its first stop in Riyadh, where Saudi dignitaries, including the Vice President of Saudi Arabian Football Federation, were present to mark the occasion.
Concluding with more lighter news, florally embellished installations depicting India's rich cultural heritage were at display at a flower show in western Gujarat state, enthralling the spectators and setting Guinness World Records.
Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi also lauded the flower show. The Ahmedabad Flower Show brought together creativity, sustainability, and community participation, the Prime Minister said, while also beautifully showcasing the city's vibrant spirit and love for nature. He also said that it is commendable how this flower show has grown in scale and imagination over the past year. The 14th edition of Ahmedabad International Flower Show bagged global recognition for the world's largest flower mandala and the world's largest floral portrait of India's first Deputy Prime Minister Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, said Chief of Gujarat Bhupendra Patel in a social media post.
And that's all the news we have for today. We'll be back with any further updates. Until then, I'm Abdullah Ahil from PSM News.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر